Robert Plant, born August 20th, 1948, in West Bromwich, England, was a man who carried deep sorrows, wounds that never fully healed, despite his strong exterior and powerful stage voice. The greatest sadness in his life was not a single moment, but the painful loss of those closest to him, especially the death of his son, Carrack Pendragon Plant, in 1977. Carrack, then 5 years old, died suddenly of an intestinal illness while Robert was on tour with Led Zeppelin in the United States. The news hit him like a knife in the heart. Robert collapsed in his hotel room, sobbing when he realized he could not be with his son in his final moments. He has said that the moment changed him forever, making him question the meaning of fame and music when he could not protect his family. This sadness was deepened by further losses: a horrific car accident in 1975 that nearly killed him and his wife Maureen, and the death of his close friend John Bonham, the drummer of Led Zeppelin, in 1980 from alcohol poisoning. Bonham's death not only marked the end of the band, but left Robert with an unfillable void. He would often sit alone in his Worcestershire home, looking at family photos, tears falling silently as he recalled the happy days long gone. Despite being an indomitable rock icon, Robert carried with him loneliness and torment, a darkness he kept hidden behind the spotlight. Robert Plant's career was a long journey of glory and tears, a story of natural talent combined with the will to overcome adversity. He started out as a blues lover in the Black Country of England, singing in local bands like the Band of Joy before fate led him to Led Zeppelin in 1968. With his soaring, soulful vocals and captivating performance style, Robert, along with Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham, turned Led Zeppelin into one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Albums like Led Zeppelin IV, 1971, featuring Stairway to Heaven, and Physical Graffiti, 1975, not only sold massively, but also shaped modern rock music. The band's success took Robert to the top, from packed stadiums to awards and global acclaim. However, the road was not paved with roses. After the deaths of Carrack and Bonham, Robert faced doubts about his ability to continue his career without Led Zeppelin. He stepped away from the limelight, attempting a solo career with the album Pictures at 11, 1982. But the early years were difficult. There were performances with sparse audiences, songs that were not well received, and Robert sitting in the studio, tears streaming down his face, thinking he had lost the magic he once had. He recalls a night in London when a musical project was cancelled. He stood in the rain, crying with a feeling of helplessness. But Robert did not give up. He was reborn with Big Log, and then albums like The Principle of Moments, 1983, proving that he could shine beyond the shadow of Led Zeppelin. His collaboration with Alison Krauss on Raising Sand, 2007, which won him a Grammy, was a testament to his perseverance. Every time he stepped on stage, Robert gave it his all, and the tears backstage were the mark of a man who fought tirelessly to keep the music alive. Robert Plant's achievements were not just in terms of fame or awards, but in terms of recognition for his talent and significance in the music world. He longed to be remembered as an artist who was constantly innovating, someone who dared to step out of his comfort zone to explore new horizons. With Led Zeppelin, he achieved this by combining blues, folk, and hard rock, creating a unique sound that had never been heard before. But after the band broke up, Robert set out to prove that he was more than just the voice of Led Zeppelin. He worked tirelessly to develop his solo career, from experimenting with electronic music on Now and Zen, 1988, to blending folk and Americana on Raising Sand. Once, when he received the Grammy for Album of the Year, Robert stood quietly in his living room, looking at a photo of Carrack and Bonham, smiling with quiet pride at having done something he had thought impossible. He also aims to inspire younger generations of artists to see that music is a never-ending journey. At 70, he still performs with the sensational Space Shifters, delivering high-energy shows that prove that age does not extinguish passion. Robert used to stand in front of the mirror, look at his gray hair, and say to himself, "You still have a lot to say." He wanted his children, Carmen, Logan, and Jesse, to be proud of him, not only for his success, but also for his resilience. Robert's greatest achievement was to live a full life with music, so that when he died, he could smile because he had left a legacy that would last forever. Robert Plant's love and marriage is a long story with moments of happiness mixed with deep sadness. He married Maureen Wilson in 1968 when he was 20 years old and on the verge of starting a career with Led Zeppelin. Maureen, a nurse of Indian descent, was Robert's first love, and they had 3 children together: Carmen Jane, 1968, Carrack Pendragon, 1972, and Logan Romero, 1979. The early years of their marriage were sweet. Robert would return home from long tours with Maureen in his arms and sing the children to sleep. But the glamour of Led Zeppelin sowed the seeds of a rift. The demanding schedule, the temptations of the road, and the pressures of fame strained their relationship. A 1975 car accident on the Greek island of Rhodes, in which Maureen broke her pelvis and injured her children, was a huge blow. Robert sat by her hospital bed, weeping, blaming himself for not protecting his family. Carrack's death 2 years later was the final blow. Robert became distant, lost in grief, and Maureen was unable to pull him back. The marriage ended in 1983, and Robert stood in the empty house after the divorce, sobbing as he realized he had lost the woman who had meant everything to him. Robert never remarried after Maureen, although he had other relationships, such as Patty Griffin and other girlfriends in later years. He has said that Maureen was the love of his life, and the sadness of the breakup has always haunted him. Once, while performing "Thank You," a song he wrote for Maureen, Robert stopped mid-sentence, tears streaming down his face as memories flooded back. Although he no longer lived together, he maintained a respectful relationship with Maureen for the sake of the children. But the pain of their broken love was an indelible part of his heart. Robert Plant's fortune is the result of a career spanning more than 5 decades, a testament to his talent and savvy management of his success. As of 2025, his net worth is estimated at $200 million, amassed from Led Zeppelin, his solo career, and his savvy investments. Robert owns a sprawling farm in Worcestershire, England, worth $15 million, where he raises horses and enjoys a life close to nature. The home, with its ancient stone walls and rustic interior, is where he finds peace after his turbulent years. He also has a luxury apartment in Austin, Texas, where he lived during his collaboration with Alison Krauss, and a small villa in Morocco, reflecting his love of North African culture. Robert's collection of music memorabilia, including guitars from the Led Zeppelin era and the manuscript for Stairway to Heaven, is worth millions of dollars. The royalties from Led Zeppelin albums and solo hits like Big Log still bring in a steady income, and Robert invests in real estate in the UK and the US. Despite his wealth, he lives simply, often wearing old t-shirts and jeans, and driving an old Land Rover rather than a luxury car. He is also generous, donating millions of dollars to local music and children's charities. When asked about money, Robert once said, "It can't buy happiness, but it allows me to live the way I want to live." His wealth is not just material, but the legacy of a man who turned pain into art. Robert Plant's family, especially his children, Carmen, Logan, and Maureen, his ex-wife, were the ones who knew best about the grief he went through, though they rarely spoke publicly. Carmen, the eldest daughter, once described her father as strong but vulnerable. She recalled the days after Carrack's death, when Robert sat in the living room holding her tightly, tears streaming down his face without saying a word. "My father was in pain, but he always tried to hide it so we wouldn't worry," Carmen said. Logan, the youngest son, recalled the moment his father received the news of John Bonham's death. He found Robert standing silently in the garden, a glass of wine in his hand, tears streaming down his face as he remembered his best friend. "My father lost a part of his soul when Uncle John died, and I know he never got over it," Logan said. Maureen, though divorced, maintained a close relationship with Robert for the sake of the children. She once shared that he would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat from nightmares about Carac, and all she could do was sit by him and comfort him silently. "Robert was a man of his heart, and his grief was deeper than anyone could imagine," she said. Robert's children agree that the deaths of Carac and Bonham were the biggest blows to their father, but they also saw him struggle to overcome them to be a pillar of support for his family. They knew Robert was a devoted father who always put his children first, and his grief was never a burden he wanted them to bear. Robert Plant's life was a long song, with wild melodies mixed with sad lows, but always ending with resilience and endless passion. His greatest sorrows, the loss of his family, the deaths of Carac and Bonham, and the failures of love, had forged a man who would never succumb to adversity. His career, from Led Zeppelin to his challenging solo career, is a testament to his talent and relentless determination. His achievements, from Stairway to